Welcome to the Redevelopment Commission meeting of March 3rd, 2025. We will start the meeting with a roll call, please, and everybody's here in person, which is awesome.
Lauren McRobbie present.
Sue Scamilleri here.
Randy Cassidy present.
John West present.
Deborah Meyerson here. May we have staff present, please?
Christina Finley, hand. Margie Rice, Corporation Counsel.
Jane Cooper Smith, Economic and Sustainable Development.
Anna Holmes, Legal
Dale's here.
Department. And is Dana here?
He just stepped out.
Okay, we also, I'll do that in Legal Department update, go ahead.
And then online for staff?
Anna Gillian Hansen, hand.
Thank you. So next on the agenda, or did you want to follow up, Margie, or was that?
Yeah, we have a new attorney that just started today. His name is Dana Kerr, D-A-N-A, Kerr, K-E-R-R. And he will, you may see him in future. We haven't finalized assignments in the legal department, but he may be helping out. He has some background, having worked with redevelopment commissions in other areas.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next on our agenda is the minutes of February 8th, 2025. Okay, so we'll take your correction as a comment.
Sure, I think
commissioners.
Under new business on the minutes, quick claim, which sounds like a business, should be quickly.
Got it.
So I'm assuming that's just a spell check thing.
Oh, yeah.
Quick oil change.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve. As
Second.
noted.
A first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And none opposed, passes unanimously. Next on the agenda, we have our claims register for February 28th, 2025. Any comments or questions from commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval of the claims register for February 28th, 2025.
Second.
We have a first and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, passes unanimously. Next, we have our payroll register for February 21st, 2025. Any questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as noted.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you all. We'll have our report of officers and committees. Do we have a director's report?
No director's report, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any legal report?
Just what I gave about our new attorney. We're
Okay.
excited.
Thank you so much. It looks like we do have a
Hi,
treasurer's
Dana.
report.
Took me a minute.
Yeah.
I was able to email this to you, but it was before our meetings today started, and you may not have gotten
Thank
a
you.
chance to see your email yet. It was an email from Ms. Christina Finley. There you go. You're welcome. I'd like to draw your attention to the back side of it. We've got the total, we have the 2024 summary fund balance for the TIF fund. I just want to draw your attention to disbursements in $30 million. We spent a lot of money out of TIF, mainly towards Hopewell last year. There was a kind of a sizable cash balance in the TIF consolidated fund, and we've done a very good job putting that towards a project, the Hopewell project, and we just need to be very aware of our spending in the future. We cannot spend $30 million every year.
Sorry, would you mind just kind of announcing what you've
Yes,
distributed? 'Cause
absolutely.
Just for the purpose of recording and public and all that stuff.
I agree. This you're looking at the TIF project status report, and it has the Hopewell. Our commitments to Hopewell have been updated, and our commitments to some of our other projects at the Dimension Mill have been updated. There hasn't been a lot of activity in these projects since the end of the year, but I did, as I said, want to draw your attention to how much money we've spent in 2024 out of the TIF. I didn't pass it out, but also included in the email, and we'll include it in the minutes, is sort of a detailed budget summary of, it's called the Budget Performance Report, and it's kind of just a more detail of revenue and expenditures. you'll see all the different TIF revenues that are going into the different areas, the consolidated areas, or not consolidated, it's a consolidated TIF, but we still separate the revenue out into the different areas. And then you'll see our general kind of budget account lines.
Did you say you sent that? or
I
you-
emailed that. I have copies here, but I just didn't think that it was something that we're not prepared. You weren't expecting this, and it's not something you were prepared to go over line by line with me, but take a look at it, and I'm happy to answer questions. If
Can you
that
put
is,
this on the agenda for next time?
yes,
And so that we can spend more time on it?
yeah. The budget performance report?
Yes.
Yes, I can do that. Absolutely. And I'll start looking ahead of time into some of those accounts that are very generic, like other services and charges that have a lot of spending in sort of a generic account name that you'll probably have lots of questions about.
Quick question.
Yes.
Completely within the money thing. The problem that the county has that affected us in any capacity?
The problem that the county has.
The $3.8 million shortfall.
Oh, no.
That doesn't affect
No, that doesn't
the
affect us
city
at all.
or the TIF
No.
areas
No.
in any capacity?
No,
Okay.
not in any capacity.
Just wanted to
Good
verify.
question.
Well, on that vein, how about neighborhood grants and such that were backed by HUD?
That is an Anna Killian Hansen question.
What do you mean, John? Are you referring to the freeze? Because at this time, we don't have anything frozen right now. But it may or may not be coming.
Okay, so if I understand the process right, we went through the grant cycle, we approved projects, and with the knowledge that we had HUD funding for up to a level, of some level, we approved projects, and we meaning the city, spends the money on the projects, and then we get reimbursed from HUD. Is that generally the way it works?
All HUD projects are reimbursement basis.
Okay,
However, each year when we get our allocations, our projects, especially for like CDBG, those are identified in advance. As you know, they go through the CAC process. But there's contingency language in all of those agreements that if the allocation has been reduced by X, then these projects will be reduced by that much. That being said, I understand where you're coming from, John, because we're not clear what will happen if we're cut by like 70% and not one of the projects can move forward, if that makes sense. Neighborhood improvement grants are not HUD funded.
okay. Yeah, am I correct? Yeah,
CDBG.
you're right, sorry. Perfect.
That's okay. But it definitely is on the horizon. It's something that we're watching. I think we all have a lot of anxiety about it.
Anything else for our treasurer's report?
No.
Thank you very much. Do we have a business development update?
Nothing formal, but maybe I wanted to share that I was listening to a good interview from Gary Dick's podcast with Michael Hicks, who's an economist out of Ball State, who does some kind of interesting work. But he was really emphasizing, he was doing some forecasting, or not forecasting, but he was looking at what can be expected of our economy, even given the new administration's policies on immigration and with tariffs. And he continued to emphasize the importance of quality of life, quality of place investments. And I wanted to share that with this commission because I think that is a lot of what we've been talking about, especially with the work in the trades district, and that this is going to be really critical for us as a community and our ability to attract residents and employees. So just saying that it was a good message, we're doing the right stuff.
Good. Thank you. Do we have a Hopewell update?
Yes, do I need to step around? It's very short. The things going on right now is that Hopewell West for Jackson Street and Rogers will be going out to bid around the middle of the month, so you'll start to see those advertisements. With hopes of receiving those approximately 3 or 4 weeks after that, and if all things go right, that work would start construction late summer, early fall, and be completed through the end of the year. Other than that, things are just under advisement with Hopewell South at this point, and here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Okay, appreciate those reports. We'll move on to new business. Our first item of business is Resolution 25-34, approval of the First Amendment to the Partnership Agreement with Dimension Mill Incorporated. Who would like to speak to that?
I'll speak to it, and Mr. Fernandez is here if we need any additional context. So this is our second time looking at this resolution. We previewed it last meeting, and there were some, there was just more clarification needed on a few items, and then there were some corrections needed. So I tried to spell everything out in a memo for the commissioners to give a little more context about the actual CTP program, and then maybe more importantly, I laid out the just the income and expenses associated with the CTP funding that the city's receiving. So the main takeaway is that because of the way the back payments will be received, we are able to sign an agreement that allocates $250,000 from this fund through 2028 without overextending the CTP fund, provided we receive the annual contributions from the Certified Tech Park fund. And then in the conclusion, I did kind of try to reiterate the termination clause, which can be terminated for any reason, provided we give 6 months notice, and then just highlighting that we're identifying the CTP fund as the primary source of funds. The RDC retains the ability, but not the obligation, to fund the agreement through other sources if it were to conclude. So that's a summary of the memo. I guess I'll just park it there and ask for questions, or let me back the frame up even more. So I got into the weeds a little bit about the CTP fund, but this partnership agreement solidifies our relationship with the RDC's relationship with the Dimension Mill and managing the trades district and working to develop that area. And so staff proposes that we extend that agreement through 2028.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from commissioners on Resolution 25-34?
Yeah, I have a comment may become a question. So if I understand you properly, we're using CTP funds. If there's, for some reason, a shortfall, we have the ability to go to another fund if we so choose, but it's not an obligation.
Correct.
All right, with that said, and I may be wordsmithing this, but the third, therefore, in the resolution, to me reads pretty much if it's not really an option as to whether we use CTP funds or redevelopment commission fund, which I don't really know what that is, as needed. So it's not really if we choose to, it's we need to.
The Redevelopment Commission authorizes the expenditures in an amount up to $250,000 for each of the 4 years added by this agreement. We enumerate the years from either the CTP fund or the Redevelopment Commission fund. Yeah, it should say or other Redevelopment Commission funds as needed. Yeah,
if the RDC so chooses.
Mm-hmm.
That's the piece that.
Or it could be like if desired instead of as needed.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's,
Desired by the
I mean, I leave it up to the legal counsel to wordsmith that one, but.
So if it says from either the CTP fund or other redevelopment commission funds, small f, what if I say as approved? Because what I'm hearing from John, tell me if you are wanting to have another conversation. If CTP funds are not available, are you wanting us to come back and have a conversation with you?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
assume we would.
Okay, so then, from, I'm gonna take out the word, then, I'm gonna say from the CTP fund, or, after further conversation
And approval.
and approval, other redevelopment commission funds, smaller.
Could be
Okay.
used.
Yeah, I feel great about, I mean, I know it's yours to feel great about and approve as you wish, but I, as a staff, on the staff level, I feel really good about that. We've been participating in this program for a long time. I think these funds will be predictable and we won't have to discuss and approve, but I'm glad that it's articulated in
Well,
a way that's
my
aligned
sense.
with,
And it may happen and we're all not here,
yeah,
but the next generation's gonna have to figure out what we meant.
Yeah.
And so it
Yeah.
probably just describes what we mean.
Clarify.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners? If not, I will entertain a motion on 25-34, please.
Move approval of resolution 2534.
Second.
Got first
As,
and
as amended.
multiple
As
seconds. As
amended.
amended, thank you. We have a first and a second as amended. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. That's for 25-34. Next on our agenda is 25-35, approval of the right of entry at the Trades District parking garage. Who would like to speak to that?
I'll speak to this. This is a right of entry for Hoosier Networks to install fiber internet service to the Trades District garage space. And because the building is owned by the Redevelopment Commission, even though it's entering into the suite of the tenants who are represented here today by Chris Rod, since it's an RDC property, the right of entry needs to be approved by commissioners. This agreement has been reviewed by Rick Dietz, the director of IT for the city, and he supports signing. Happy to answer questions or pass them to others.
Thank you for that report. Any comments or questions from commissioners on 25-35?
Right of entry, is there any particular specifications that need to be identified in order to make sure that no damage is done to the garage? I'm assuming we're going in, through, or under the existing facility, so that's why I'm asking.
Rick Dietz and I had a conversation, and he said, essentially, he'd be in conversation with because it's IT infrastructure that's going in, that they probably will have to bore through the building at some point, and then they'll have to find a place for their equipment, but Rick will be involved in that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to identify that area that's carved out, that we make sure that it's, not an encroaching area that's gonna be
Yeah.
dealt with, so that we don't have to come back and say, okay, there was damage done at this particular point, because.
Yeah, and we had to have an underlying agreement with the vendor too, so.
So are you comfortable that there's no, I didn't see any language about liability in here, so.
The vendor who wants to bring in the infrastructure has kind of a generic agreement that it's take it or leave it. I mean, so it's one of those things, if the tenant wants the service, you've got to agree to their terms. And so, and Anna, I believe you reviewed that agreement?
I did, and I worked with Rick on that, and he has an existing relationship with that vendor and is comfortable that the very short agreement will be sufficient since we're just the building owner and not entering into a service agreement.
Right.
There is language in the agreement itself that, oh gosh, I just saw it and I missed it. But it speaks specifically to HNet shall at all times retain ownership of the system, shall at its own cost repair any damage to the property resulting solely from the installation, maintenance, operation, or removal of the system caused by HNet or its contractors, reasonable wear and tear accepted.
Okay, so
That's,
I see where
I was
that's
thinking
at.
of other
Yeah.
liability that
Yeah.
happens when people
Sure.
encroach on property, right? But that's, I mean, if
Yeah.
you're the legal counsel, if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with this language, and, you know, we have that balance between, we obviously wanna be a good landlord and want to make sure that our tenants get the services that they need to their business while we're protecting our property, and I had a couple conversations with Rick, you had a couple conversations with Rick, in his world, this sort of stuff happens all the time, he reviewed this, and he's satisfied that we're covered.
He's gonna be the one overseeing, so.
Mm-hmm.
World's good.
Yeah, and I don't know if the tenant wants to say anything. Feel free.
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments from commissioners? If not, sorry, we should do public comment. I realized I did not mean to bypass that, previously. So, any comments from the public? I don't see any online or in person. With that, I will entertain a motion from commissioners.
Move approval of resolution 2535.
Second.
Got a first and a second. All in favor of 25-35, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next on our agenda this evening is 25-36, which is approval of agreement for temporary parking at the Hopewell development. Would like to speak to that?
That will be me. So we have, as you know, we're developing Hopewell, which is property that the Redevelopment Commission owns. We have contractors that will need to park there, and this agreement approves temporary parking for BCM, which LLC, which is the development arm of Brenshore Development. And it is a fairly simple agreement in that they are not paying any fees to us to park there, but they are going to cover any, they're gonna cover the insurance, they're gonna exercise due care, they're gonna indemnify and hold us harmless, we're gonna allow their employees and their subcontractors to park there. We can get out, any party can get out by providing fairly short-term notice, 30 days. And it's got an open end, it's basically through the construction period. And so we'd like you to approve it. There's a resolution and the agreement. And I have made it for the city and the redevelopment commission to both sign this. The city's insurance covers for the redevelopment commission. So I decided to make this for both the city and the redevelopment commission to sign. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Is it just lot C in the?
There's a map that should have been attached.
Yeah,
I think
And,
it is.
and we, let me look at it. I think that we allowed the city to decide which parking that they'll get. Let me look back at that language, because I left it a little loose because I wondered if at some point we might need to switch. So it says in the very first paragraph that they may park in areas designated by the city on the attached map based on the BCM's needs and parking availability. The city staff and BCM will agree to communicate so that BCM's needs and the city's availability is clearly understood. To the extent that there is a conflict, the city shall determine what parking is eligible for use. I think staff is looking at the green areas on the map. If yours is a color copy,
Maybe correct.
but,
Gray areas?
Gray.
Gray area.
oh,
Okay.
is yours not a color one?
Yeah,
Okay.
green's where trees are, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I was
okay.
like, whoa. Well, and
Hey Margie.
Yeah.
If I could.
Yeah,
Since
jump
we
in.
work together on this.
You have to introduce yourself.
Yeah, sorry, Anna Dragovich, Capital Projects Manager. The lots on the map I've been giving them a random name just for communicative purposes, but contractors are currently parking in lots C and B, and the idea is for them to slowly migrate to lot A that's currently occupied by Milestone. And so the idea is to have all of these sort of covered under the agreement that folks can park there as things are kind of fluid and moving about, if that makes sense.
Now, this agreement, keep in mind, is specifically with BCM.
Yes.
So, we don't have any other current agreements with contractors, but to the extent that they need parking, we will bring other similar agreements back to you.
Right here. Not that right here, sorry, yeah.
So
Being across the street, being across the street. No, we're identifying the map and the
You're using-
location. Yeah.
So, comments or questions?
Do we have any concerns with the open-ended nature of this?
No, I don't, because we can get out in 30 days' time.
Okay.
So, I mean, if we decide, hey, this is a problem, we need this space or something else,
Yeah.
we can get out in 30 days.
Okay.
Okay. Lot A that's existing with Milestone at this present moment, are they about done with it?
I believe so, yeah, they're slowly moving their stuff
Okay.
out.
And I know when we're looking at it and we're saving the 714 building, and we've got Lot C here, you know, the question since I would have on, I understand Lot B and Lot A, Lot C, it's the easiest thing that's gonna park, everybody's gonna wanna park there. It's not gonna be fence, or, you know, is it, we're gonna require them to fence it?
Mm-mm. No, we were not requiring them to fence it.
Okay, because that's, the only question is the policing of those particular lots when we're talking at an area that, you know, is on one of our main entries, construction, you know, being in the construction trades while we try to say we're gonna clean everything up.
Well, these are employee parking, this is not there, it's my understanding, Anna, this is not for like a staging area, correct?
No, it'll be employee parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
But, I'm sorry, what's your question?
the existing Lot A and Lot B,
Mhm.
those have been used on the construction end of it. We have, nobody so far has really used Lot C other than where they tore up a little bit of it.
Mhm.
And my only question as we look forward to or as we move forward on the 714 building is to create the least amount of damage possible in that particular area,
So you're suggesting they use
Lot A and B.
Lot A and B, okay.
And
And
then-
I'm certainly, Anna can take that back to staff as to consider. I don't know what conversations, I left this agreement sort of open-ended so staff can manage that.
Sure.
I didn't know what, I thought there was a little fluidity in what was
Yes.
going on there.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, my only concern is when we look at where we're saving the 714 building, that least amount of damage is potentially done in that area because we may not have anything on it for a year or two and maintaining it. And, you know, something that occurred on that lot when there was demolition, a truck pulled in, if you notice, there's a piece of blacktop missing. So it may be minor, but as the owner of the facilities, you know, and we haven't got a solid plan or a time frame we're gonna deal with it, we need to keep it in the best position possible that creates the least amount of potential liability, also the potential possibility of having to rebuild something.
It sounds like we're aligned. We also didn't want them to park on C for a number of reasons. And
Okay.
so what I hear in your statement is more just a question about how we protect that space moving forward. So we can consider that.
Yeah, I do think the fact that it's just employees' cars and not large, heavy equipment, I think that truck, you said there was some damage that might.
Unfortunately, encroachment in construction just occurs and people think, well, just park it over there. And we don't think about it. We just do it. I've been in construction a long time. I'm not saying it's right. It's unfortunate those things do happen.
Yeah.
And then the other concern I have just from a liability standpoint, if we're not gonna require anybody to fence it, because of the treatment facilities that are just farther to the west and some to the east. I personally have visually saw a person on a bike, not, you know, doing what he did, but he cut right through and then ran into the construction equipment and crashed.
I don't think,
So-
I'm hoping construction equipment's not.
No. I'm talking just people's cars, employees of the construction people. Nothing serious, but if we've got a lot and we're not requiring them to, you know, we have to have liability from, reassurances of liability from them.
Yeah, they have to name us as an additional insured on
Right.
their insurance policies, and they are agreeing to indemnify and hold us harmless.
Yeah.
So we've asked for, $1 million general liability insurance with a minimum combined single limit of $1 million for each occurrence and $2 million in the aggregate. They have to have automobile liability insurance, they have to have professional liability insurance, and of course, workers' compensation. So if their employee falls,
I wasn't worried about their employee. I'm worried about pedestrians or individuals cutting through
Yeah, they're
there,
gonna have to hold us harmless if something happens.
then they're trespassing, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
right, no, good questions.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I'll invite public comment, anything online or in person. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Move approval of resolution 2536.
Second.
We've got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next on our agenda is resolution 25-37, which is approval of a lease at the Forge with Bloom. Who would like to speak to that?
I believe Mr. Fernandez will.
I don't cough through it,
Oh,
sorry.
no.
Something's in my scratch.
Still here.
Yes. Hi, Lori. Okay, so hopefully the memo that you all received is pretty straightforward, but pretty excited about this. As you know, the goal of the Forge is to support growth stage or more mature companies that are going to have emerging technology development as part of their work located there so that they can feed the community that we're building in the trades district to be able to tap into some of the other creatives that are located either at the mill or in the forge, and build the kind of supportive ecosystem that can really support some tremendous future development of products and services. Bloom, some of you are probably familiar with them. They started in Bloomington back in 2007, and over the years have really grown into a very well-established company with over 1,000 employees. They used to have two facilities here in Bloomington, and as well as one in Phoenix. But when the pandemic hit, they pretty much overnight became a virtual company. And consequently, their presence here has really shrunk significantly to essentially their core corporate leadership team that has an office at Renwick. They've been looking for an opportunity to consolidate their technology function. They're starting to do a bunch of really advanced work in artificial intelligence for their customers, and part of it is on the sales side, but it's also a big compliance play in terms of making sure that taxpayers' monies are being used appropriately when it comes to some of the insurance products that they help deliver. So they looked at multiple options. As a very significant company, they have a very active board of directors. It's comprised of some leading investment folks in the health tech space. So they required the company to get alternatives. It wasn't going to be just a slam dunk, put finger on the scales and go with Bloomington. So they looked at options in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Nashville, Tennessee, and Charlottesville, or Charlotte, North Carolina. We ended up coming out on the winning end of that. So we're pretty excited about that. Their specific plans for the building are really exciting because they're going to build a network operating center, sort of think command center, where there's a lot of digital data visualization, so you can see everything that's happening across the platforms that they have. So they'll be investing a significant amount of money into the tenant improvements so that it becomes a center of activity, bringing in their core customers to be able to monitor what's happening, but also some of the regulatory folks, and importantly, their board of directors, which we're excited about because we want to leverage their presence to highlight and promote awareness about the emerging tech sector that's evolving here in downtown Bloomington. So as with, they should have about 20 to 30 employees that will be working out of that site. Not all of them will be there 100% of the time, all the time, but that's the core team that's going to be operating out of the NOC. So this is like our previous leases. It's a 5-year lease with 3 options to renew for 5 years. The total amount of space is 4,709 square feet. So it's essentially the entire second floor south suite. With Bloom, that will get us up to 66% occupancy, by the way. So all that'll be left is a little over 4,000 square feet on the first floor south suite. Base rent's $21 a square foot, escalates at 2.5% per year, plus operating expenses. The tenant improvement allowance is $175, consistent with the previous 2 leases, funded by the CCC grant program that Indiana University secured for the benefit of the mill. And let's see, the lease term begins 180 days after RDC approval, if approved, or, oops, I got a typo there, or the completion of their tenant improvements, whichever one is earlier. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We're excited about this one, and I know they're anxious to get into the building as soon as possible.
Thank you. Questions or comments from commissioners?
I'm just glad Bloomington won.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have it.
John, is this, for Bloom, is this pretty much a new business model and not, or just a relocation of an existing?
A little bit of both, John. So it is a consolidation of some of their team members that are spread out into other locations, but the NOC is a new function that they previously have not had.
What does NOC stand for?
Network Operating Center.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Is there gonna be any new hires, do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. One lease question, and this is just, I'm throwing this out to you.
Yeah.
You've got a 5% cap on pass-throughs.
Mhm.
Those are both controllable and uncontrollable. Is that really what you want to do?
If we want to have them, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I with the rent you're getting, it's not problematic.
And it's just
But-
for that cap is only on the CAM charges.
Right. No, I understand that.
So the CAM charge. we
But some of
can't
those cams
control.
you can't control.
No.
And so that's why I
Yeah.
asked you if you wanted to cap it at 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is one other unique clause in their lease, just to point it out, and it's, for lack of a better term, most favored nation. This was something that their board required, so that if, for example, with the remaining 4,700 square feet, since we've already secured leases for the other space, if we were to offer up any kind of incentive to the next tenant, they would get the benefit of that.
You need something beyond what they're
Yes.
already getting. That's-
Yeah, I mean, it's highly unlikely, but
Yeah.
it was a requirement.
If there are no other questions or comments from commissioners, any public comment, either online or in person? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion for resolution 25-37, please.
I move approval of resolution 25-37.
I'll second.
We've got a first and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
So that is all of our new business. We have any opportunity for other business or general discussion? I have one question, which is the TIF project status report. I'm thinking of, there's the Spider TIF, which is the Meridian Hoosier Networks agreement. I'm just wondering if that would be an appropriate thing to include on this report?
Yes, we haven't received any revenue on that yet, and we will this year because they had AV for 24, pay 25. So yes, I will add that on there.
Okay.
And that's part of that is part of a payment agreement, and all that revenue will go back to Meridian or Hoosier Fiber Network.
Okay.
Yeah, but I will put that on there, and we can track it.
Thanks.
Thanks for bringing that up.
And I don't know if there's possible to have a status update on that project, just because it's something that, you know, kind of,
Yeah.
I haven't heard at least presented to the RDC in a long time. So just kind of,
Not us.
no, I understand, but
We will ask the
to
appropriate
put
staff.
out the request to whomever can bring it back, that would be very welcome to
very
understand the status of that, especially since some payment will be apparently forthcoming this fiscal year. Anyway, so just to put that in the works ideally to have as a presentation to hear how that's going. Any other items for business or general discussion? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.